Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kristen and I love to craft. Today we are going to be making a super easy and super cute Valentine's Day card. So let's go ahead and get into today's video. I have some 110-pound cardstock here and we are going to be using our big paper trimmer for this. So we are going to be creating a card base and also a front card panel. This did come from Hobby Lobby, however there are tons of them on Amazon, and so most of the supplies that I'm using today will be linked down in the description box below, so don't forget to check it out. So we're going to make the card base first, and this is going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So we have 11 this way, and now we just need to cut it down to 4 1/4. So we are going to cut it right there. And if you do not have a paper trimmer, I highly recommend it. This paper trimmer right here from Hobby Lobby is so good. I've not had any issues with it. Okay, so we need to make the front card panel a little bit smaller. So we are going to go probably about 4 inches. Let's see if this is the width that we like. All right, that looks great. So see how there's a little gap on each side. Now we need to just trim it up here at the top. Let's do it at, let's see. Let's do it at about 5 1/2. And just see how much that we need to cut down. Okay, my math is not mathing today. It's very early right now, but if we are going to make our score line at 5 1/2, we need to go just a little bit smaller than that. So what I'm going to do is just score this in half. So let's get out our scoreboard. And of course you can get the scoreboard from Amazon as well. We have a little tool right here. Since our paper is 11 inches, we are going to score it at 5 1/2. And whenever you score it, it just makes it easier to fold in half. And then I'm going to lay it on my glass mat, take the tool again, and just press those edges that way that it stays closed and it doesn't pop right back open. Okay, so we're going to take our front card panel, kind of line it up a little bit, see how much that we need to trim down. And I'm leaving all of this in the video because I just want to show that, you know, everyone's not perfect. Even in crafting, I make a lot of mistakes. And so I just wanted to kind of keep those little happy mistakes in here. But we are going to trim this down a little bit more. All right, so you can kind of see the edges. I think I'm going to trim it down just a hair bit more. That looks great. So let's go ahead and put our paper trimmer up. I have a glare on my glass mat from the light above, so I'm just going to put a piece of paper down, so that's why it's there. But let's go ahead and set aside our card base. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but this is 110-pound cardstock. We are going to take our front card panel, and this is what we will be working with today. I also have 3 different paper pads here. This is the Recollections brand from Michaels. I believe this one came from Hobby Lobby, and this one came from Joann's, but of course they're closed now, so this is not available. But Hobby Lobby, Michaels, they all have glitter gold paper, or you can definitely look on Amazon as well. So we're going to be using this die right here and also our Sizzix Big Shot. Let's go ahead and pick out some papers. I think I want to go with a light shade of pink, which will be this one here. And then I want to get like a darker shade of pink, maybe even this one right here. And then we are going to do a shade of red. And then I do have this Stampin' Die set here. I'm only going to be using the die today, and this is from the brand Hero Arts. For this die, we're going to use the glitter paper. I think this is actually my last sheet. Oop, nope. We have one more sheet left of that gold glitter. So I'm definitely going to have to do a little restock on that. All right, so let's try to save as much paper as we can. And I'm gonna go ahead and trim this down, and we're just going to cut it right there. And as you can see, I have used this same paper a couple of times. I did a 3rd birthday cake shaker, and that was so much fun to make. I think I actually posted it on my channel here. But okay, we have this. And then for this one, we are going to do like an ombre effect. So we are going to run it through with a pink, the other pink, and then the red. So here's my Sizzix Big Shot. The plates on here have been used tons of times. I've had this machine for probably 2 years now, and the plates are very used, but they work excellent. I love the Sizzix Big Shot because it does come with the instructions on the cutting plates. That way I'm never having to like Google anything or try to reference my phone on how to create the sandwich when die cutting. So we have our big plate here. We have our thin die adapter, and then we have a cutting plate. And then we are going to put down our paper and our die, but first I do want to trim this paper down a little bit more. So let's go ahead and stock up those 3, put our die right here, and then I'm just going to trim it up right there. Okay, so we can only cut 1 paper at a time. So I'm going to put the paper down, the die on top cutting plate, and then I'm going to roll it through. All right, let's see how it did. And if it doesn't cut all the way on the first time, then roll it through again. But this machine, I hardly ever have to run it through twice unless it's something like a really, really thick glitter paper. And in that instance, I don't even check it. I just roll it through twice because sometimes I line it up correctly, other times I don't. And so it's just best that you go ahead and run it through twice. I'm going to use my Cricut pokey tool here because it has little holes on the back of these dies, and you can just poke your project right through. See how it still has that red on there? Let's just poke it through. All right. Now the only parts that we are going to keep from this are the hearts. You can definitely save this for some kind of card project. There are endless possibilities with all the extras that it punched out, but this I'm going to go ahead and just set it to the side in my little scrap bin. Okay, so we have all of our red hearts. Now we're going to do this pink color, make sure it's lined up pretty good, and then put our top cutting plate on and roll this one through. All right, so now we have this one done. Set that to the side. Use our pokey tool again to get all of those little hearts out. And then we are going to use our pokey tool again to get that heart layer out. I was thinking that you could even do some ink blending in the background and then put this on top and maybe do some kind of like message behind it. I don't know, that would just be super cute. Okay, so we are going to do the light pink now. Put that top cutting plate back on there. Roll it through. And since we are making the ombre effect with these hearts, it is going to cut a lot of extra pieces. So you can definitely make 3 cards out of this. All right, so we have this little piece here. All right, the last piece that we need to cut is going to be the glitter piece. And like I said, I'm going to run this through twice. All right, so now we are going to take the die off. And you can still see that it's still a little bit attached, but it comes off really easily like that. Now we need to take out the little inside pieces, and that should be fairly easy if you run it through twice. All right, so there we have love. Now we are done with our Sizzix Big Shot. Let's go ahead and set that to the side. Okay, so we have our hearts here and we have our front card panel that we are working on. We are also going to be using one of these as a guide. I'm gonna go ahead and cut off the top hearts because we're only going to be using we're only going to be using 9 hearts. And we're going to use it as a guide or kind of like a stencil. I do have some washi tape here, and I'm going to use just a little piece of it to hold the little stencil in place. All right, let's get a fresh piece. And I'm going to put it on my hand just to kind of get it a little less sticky. You can also use like your t-shirt, pants, or whatever. All right, let's make sure that this is centered on here. That looks great. All right, so it's going to hold it in place like that. Let's do another piece down here at the bottom. I'm also going to be using my reverse tweezers and some school glue. If you've seen my channel recently, I really like the precision tip on the Barely Art glue, but it gets clogged way too much, even with the pen in here. And what I'm going to do is just take the school glue and do just a little dab. Okay, that came out super fast. So just do little scribbles or little dabs. All right, and then we are going to alternate. So I'm going to start off with the pink heart. There are 2 different kinds. So you have the stitched heart and then the regular heart. So the first one was a stitched heart. Now I'm going to do a regular. Let's see. I kind of want to alternate them though. Let's do a smooth heart. And these reverse tweezers, I had someone comment on my video the other day and asked me if I used them and if they were easy to adjust to. I would say yes, they are super easy to use. All that you do is squeeze it, put your paper in there. Let's see, we need a stitched one. Put your paper in there and it's super easy to use. So you just let go and it holds your paper for you, which is super handy, especially if you're trying to get it in a certain spot where it needs to go. All right, and then you just squeeze it to let it go. All right, now let's do, we have tons of hearts, so let's just put those right there. All right, now I want to do, let's see, a smooth heart, but in the kind of fuchsia color. We'll do it right there. And then we'll do a red stitched heart in the middle. And then we'll do a smooth light pink heart. And then we'll do a red stitched heart. And then we'll do a smooth pink heart. And then we'll do a stitched fuchsia color. All right, that looks great. So now we need to let this dry. I'm going to put something kind of heavy on it, but let's go ahead and pull up the washi tape. Well, let's go ahead and pull this up first. Okay, so this is how it looks. I'm going to put 2 books on top to let it dry very flat, and then I'll be right back. So now this should be dried and it looks great. We have tons of hearts left over. I'm definitely going to be saving this for another project for Valentine's Day. The next thing we need to do is add on the love right here. And while that was drying, I was able to clean out the tip of the precision glue. All right, so this is a perfect example of why you need these reverse tweezers, and of course they are linked down in the description box below, but you can hold it while you are gluing. And with the precision tip glue bottle, it does come out very finely, and you can get all of those little pieces of the die. So let's put it in the center. Push it down gently. All right, and now I'm going to take some gems. You guys know that I love my gems. Okay, so let's do like a medium-sized one and then a small one. Okay, that's another medium. We'll put that one up there. Teeny tiny one. My wax tip tool broke. I don't know how, but it did. I went to go use it the other day and it was crushed. So I think maybe my youngest got into it, but it could have also been crushed when I was moving stuff around. So who knows? All right, I'm going to use the reverse tweezers to pick up and place the dewdrops. All right, now I'm going to add 2 drops up here. And using those reverse tweezers again. There we go. Let's kind of spread those out a little bit. All right, now we need to attach it to our card base. We're going to be using this double-sided foam tape, and then we will put the strips down. Let's go ahead and take off the backings. Now we're going to get it as center as possible on our card. I always like to make sure that it opens up correctly because I have glued it down upside down a few times. So now I try to make it a habit to at least open it and see. Okay, so let's try to get it as center as possible and push it down. All right, and this is how our card turned out today. Thank you all so much for tuning into today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it just as much as I did, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.